Trackside Lounge, episode 27 from the luxurious part of Logiical Motorsport today. You might say, here we are on the couch.
We're putting the lounge in Trackside Lounge.
There you go.
Finally. So.
Perfect. And we got everything, and you've got a TV up there, which you can't see, but then again, you don't need to, do you? Right? So let's get it started this week with, Formula One's a little bit quiet, so that's why I've got the Formula One hat on, so that we can just say, that's Formula One.
Has anybody seen Daniel Ricciardo lately?
Oh, no. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. He looked like there was a photo last week. He's got a beard like that, and he's got hair that looks like this.
I think he's preparing for a cameo on The Chosen.
Something like that.
Possibly.
He certainly looks like that.
No, he says that he's lost his razor and he had a falling out with his barber.
Huh. So that would do it every time. But he's also had an accident.
Yes, he motorcycle accident or something. So that's he's broken his collarbone, or that's you never like that.
Was he standing on top of the motorbike celebrating and sort of fell off it, or too soon?
Don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
But talking about Danny Rick, I mean, obviously there is no Formula One news at the moment. We're in the summer break. But talking about Danny Rick, he's made his first, obviously prior to the bike crash, his first post-Formula One public appearance. And he's sort of been talking about, I mean, he's pretty happy that his time in a Formula One car is over. He doesn't see himself coming back. He's done a fair dash. He's done a few, he's been in the game. So now he's sort of trying to find out what he wants to do post F1. What does his life look like? Who does he want to surround himself with? Because, Formula One's a very intense sport. And when it's such a fast-paced lifestyle, you sort of, and this is coming from him, right? You tend to sort of neglect some of the people that you care about and that are important to you. And so he's sort of having that change of pace, now he can.
A reconnection moment.
He can just be with his friends, he can enjoy life.
Well, let's face it, he's got a pile of cash like at least that big that he sits on, and he's wherever he happens to go, so he can afford to do that sort of thing.
Exactly, and he's a fan favourite. I mean, he's got such a public image, everyone loves Danny Rick, and they loved him. Honey Badger.
You can't help thinking that, with the drive to survive and the interest in Formula One, that someone somewhere is going to offer him a contract just to turn up at every Formula One meeting.
Well, now, I don't understand why Supercars haven't picked him up and said, hey, look, come along to
because he started there, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he worked his way in through years ago.
Okay, wild shot here, just crazy shot. For the, how we're talking about with the Supercars, for the Enduros, they're changing the rules so that they can get the guest drivers to be able to do things. Daniel Ricciardo turns up as a guest driver for someone's team. Shane Van Gisbergen turns up as a guest driver for someone's team, as does Scott McLaughlin. I'm saying. And you know how you said there was no Formula One news? Here we go. Scott McLaughlin leaving IndyCar. Speculation is rife that the 32-year-old could be joining Cadillac in their Formula One team. Hang on, he's 32, which puts him a little bit beyond the current crop of, up-and-coming, never-done-it-before Formula One drivers. So I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, we think of Scott Dixon years ago when he was
in his 20s,
moving up through the ranks of Indy, early days of Indy. He tested a Formula One,
tested a Williams Formula One car, and was very, very good. But
he wasn't 32. I'll give you that.
So Scott McLaughlin. But the interesting thing about that is, this morning I found out a little bit more about it. When he left Supercars and went to the States, his goal was to go into NASCAR. So it was Roger Penske, who was the connection that got him there, said, let's go IndyCar racing. And that's it. So there is a want, a need, a desire to go NASCAR racing. And I'm sure in the future that's there, because the quote from Scott McLaughlin this morning was, I'm doing IndyCar.
Yeah,
who's making this BS up?
Well,
apart from us.
If you're going to commit to a series, you give it your all, right? And like you say, Scotty Mac did. I mean, because Scotty Mac left before SVG, didn't he, for Supercars?
Yes,
I think.
Yeah.
And so Scotty Mac went over. His sights were on NASCAR, like you say. Roger Penske kind of gave him the nudge and said, "Hey, look, let's give IndyCar a shot." And he, by all accounts, he did all right, and he's still there today. So to have, because there has been. How often do we see this, talk about Scotty Mac and SVG, who infamously by Supercars were pitted as these bitter enemies, rivals, they hate each other, and then they actually came out and said, well, actually, no, we're good mates. We go for beers and we. So, but how often do we see the talk of a Scotty Mac SVG NASCAR cameo, like a participation on Scotty's part, and he's giving IndyCar his all. He doesn't have the focus, but he doesn't want to sort of fill up his already busy schedule.
Yeah.
And there's also, was it last year, beginning of this year, also the same thing of a Scotty Mac SVG at Bathurst, the teaming up in the same car, a wild card vehicle or something. Now, I mean, I would almost go to Aussie to go and watch that. That'd be pretty daggum cool. But, another one too about the future. Interesting that SVG has said that this may not be my last rodeo NASCAR. He's still got things he wants to do.
Oh yeah,
he's still got stuff on his bucket list. And that's the thing about Shane. You never underestimate the guy for a start. I mean, people, the Americans writing him off and they're saying, he's only good at road courses. How did he go the weekend? How did he go in the
Actually,
ovals?
that was his best ever finish on oval, wasn't it?
It was equal 14th, yeah. And I can't remember the name of the guy. There was someone there who was sitting there going, "Why hasn't he letting me pass? Why hasn't he letting me pass?"
Oh, that Bubba Wallace and some other guy. They're having
clown.
Bit of a complaint about him, but he's getting used to it. And he was running the Highline too.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is what Shane likes to do. If you ever saw him run a sprint car over the last couple of years, boy, does he love the Highline.
And the cushion. He loves the cushion.
Yeah.
That much dirt between the wall and the
Get on there, climb on the cushion, off you go.
But this guy was complaining. It wasn't Bubba Wallace, it was someone else, and he was complaining about, are you doing this and doing that? I'm sitting there going, dude, there's no way in God's green earth. These 3 years, no, after you, mate. You just go through. He's going to do it. I'm fighting you. And I think they were the driver, whoever he was saying, we have the spotter, was saying, we've talked to the team and he's going to let you through, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And I think the team was saying Shane, and Shane's like, mate, he's got to pass me. I'm not here to.
You Americans are giving me such crap for being terrible at ovals, and now you expect me to just roll over and
drop down the result.
I'm having the best day of my life out here, and you guys want me to.
So if Scott McLaughlin isn't finished, is he potentially linked to F1? If SVG isn't finished, I'm not saying F1 with SVG either, but if he's still, I'd love to know what that bucket list is. I know that. We saw him. Remember the New Zealand Grand Prix a couple of years ago. Who won? He did.
After he hit the fire extinguisher and he did all the other mishaps that he had. He was basically treating that nose cone like a front bumper.
And they were saying, boy, that's a fantastic drive, but that front bumper is made of like titanium or something. It was incredible. But the point of what I'm trying to say is who is where they're going to be forever? And Daniel Ricciardo, as much as you say, hey, look, he's given up on Formula One, there are so many groups and organisations out there of motor racing, including Supercars and others, would be stupid not to realise the draw card of this, very popular Australian.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
With a mop on his head now, good on him. But he would be a massive draw card to any group. And why wouldn't they be saying, hey, look, and maybe he's had a contract to sit out because he can't drive, I don't know, restraint of trade or whatever they call it. But boy, when he does come back, he will come back. And let's not forget, he's a very talented driver. He wasn't an also-ran. He was a very talented driver, getting very, very good points on a regular basis.
So just thinking about SVG for a second, if he's not done with NASCAR, what other sort of major series are there out there that he could turn his talents to? Because just off the top of my head, I'm thinking there's IMSA.
Yep.
There's ALMS, which obviously we've talked about endurance racing and how good of a position endurance racing is in. Yep. He's done a stint in GT.
Yep.
He's done some of the Asian sort of GT stuff.
And
won, yep. And obviously Bathurst 12 Hour as well. He's no stranger to when he was running the 650S. If he wanted to go open wheel, I'd almost look at Super Formula in Japan, because those things are not Formula One fast, obviously, but they are probably the second biggest open wheel series. That might piss off some IndyCar fans.
Would that be a stepping stone, though, for him further up in open wheeler?
I think so. I think so. Super Formula's got its own quite... in 2020, the Toyota Racing Series, that was the year Liam Lawson was in there.
Yeah.
You also had Yuki Tsunoda. We don't need to talk about those two, we know the story. But there was also a guy called Igor Fraga.
Yep.
And Igor Fraga actually won that year. So he beat Lawson, he beat Tsunoda. And the difference was he didn't have the Red Bull money to basically progress any further. His dad's a very well-off businessman, but not quite that much.
And he had the support of PlayStation too.
He had the support of PlayStation, Sony, Gran Turismo, all that sort of thing. And he he won the championship. obviously Liam and Yuki went on, he didn't. I think he did a bit of sort of Formula 3 regionally, but he just didn't, the bank account ran a bit dry. So he stuck around in Japan because he's half Brazilian, half Japanese. He's sort of grown up in Japan. So he sort of got into Super GT. So he was running the touring cars. They're kind of more GT these days, aren't they? But anyway, and now he's in Super Formula. And he's comfortable as. He's in his little zone. He's doing GT300 with an Alexis, and then he's doing Super Formula in one of the pretty respective teams. And, so he's found his comfort zone. Someone like SVG, I mean, obviously, the more he upsets Americans in NASCAR, he's going to be more of a figure, I suppose, for better or for worse, right? But like you say, he could turn his attention anywhere globally because he's done so much.
I'm going to throw a curly one out and say that he says he's not done in NASCAR. He just wants to get better at NASCAR. And let's face it, you can keep racing in NASCAR until you're as old as I am. So that's still a fair way off. I just think that SVG just wants to be able to try his hand at everything else. And the thing that might restrict him would be a contract with NASCAR about the availability to do other things as well. Because I know for sure that if the opportunity arose for him to climb into a sprint car in the off season and race through Australia and New Zealand, he would be there like that. Yep. So,
well, he did for Western Springs.
Yeah. Oh, and he raced up and down the country. We went down to Bay Park. Yeah. And I got to say, because he was at Western Springs, the car got wrecked in a crash, and they turned up the next week, or it wasn't long before they were at Bay Park, and that got tangled in a heat race, and they had to rebuild the car. And I have never seen anything like it. It was just brilliant. One, it was SVG, so they all wanted him on the track, but every single team came in with a bit, a part, something to get that car running. And then Shane went out there and just lit the track up. So, that was a win for everyone involved. Yeah. And that was just really good to see. But that's the essence of Speedway. The idea is to get as many cars on the track as possible and enjoy yourself out there. And that's what he did. So honestly, as long as SVG's happy racing, I think I'd go and watch him. Yeah. I mean, honestly, three-wheeler trikes that he has to pedal. I'd watch him do that.
Don't know about that
Mate,
one.
he'd be good. He'd be good.
One thing I just finishing with Shane, and I don't think we can ever really fully finish with SVG, the nickname that's been coming out. Now, the Americans have actually worked out there's a nickname about, they thought about Shane. And because Van Gisbergen, and they've come up, there's a nickname somewhere along the family line that there's Cheeseburger, so Van Gisbergen Cheeseburger, and so they think that one of Shane's nicknames is Cheese. But of course what they don't realise is that his father was Robert Van Gisbergen, and everyone's known cheese in New Zealand as cheese since the 70s and probably even beyond, really, really quite funny that they have found this nickname. And I don't know about you guys, but I've actually seen quite a bit of media from people that are, following and commenting on this. I've come up with this nickname on this, and here's this, and I'm the guy that came up with some weird nickname about, he's the passer meister, or he's this. And one guy called him the Iceman, and we know that, of course, Scott Dixon is the Iceman. Yeah. But, and I think it was quite funny, and it was how wrong they were, how excited they were, and then of course all the Aussies and Kiwis come up, mate,
you're a bit slow.
Good try. I got news for right nickname, wrong Van Gisbergen.
Cheese, wrong Van Gisbergen, but yes, it does sort of apply.
That's why there's SVG.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's already got a nickname,
simple.
guys.
SVG.
We don't need to. Anyway.
Simple pimple.
Wheel has been invented. Don't have to reinvent it. Well done.
Everyone wants to be the one to coin the term, don't they? They always want to make the trademark, or how many people do you reckon have started doing Iceman SVG type merch, and they wanted to just sell their line and make a killing?
Can you imagine? They all turn up at NASCAR races with cheese and things like that. Sorry, mate. That's my dad.
Or the what do they do in the football stadiums where they all hold the one letter? And we love you, cheese. You just see Robert there like,
I don't even know you people. Back off. Okay, quick one here, and this one surprised me a little bit. Ford, you may remember a couple of years ago, decided they weren't going to make cars anymore. They're just going to concentrate on SUVs. And of course, Ford America decided to be SUVs, apart from the Mustang, which is the Halo car, the Mach-E, which was their...
We don't talk about that one.
Yeah.
Okay. They've just announced last week that they're going to reintroduce cars, particularly for the European market. They're also looking at the South American market, the South African market. Like every market except America, Ford want to get back into cars because not everyone wants an SUV. And the other one is I saw that General Motors, you remember General Motors used to be Holden, and then Holden finished and that's it.
Yep.
And all that you get now is you get Chevrolets turn to right-hand drive in Australia. Chevrolet are looking at reintroducing, once again, world markets like Australia. They're looking specifically at Australianising vehicles or maybe producing something only for the Australian market. Like they do, Buicks, I think they're made in China at the moment, and they're looking at strategizing across the rest of the world. So immediately I thought, Holden's back. And funnily enough, Holden might be back. It's just that General Motors sold the names of Holden, Opel, Vauxhall to Stellantis, which owns Fiat and consequently Ferrari, but Ram and Dodge and Jeep in the States. They are looking at licensing the Holden name in Australia to Great Wall Motors.
I think we can all see where this one's going, can't we?
And Australia's going to have a real problem because there's a lot of Australians out there, through heck or high water, will not buy a Chinese car.
But mate, I'm going to stop you there. Mate. Great Wall have already bought the old Holden testing ground.
True.
The factory.
That was up for sale, wasn't it?
And they're testing their electric vehicles and other vehicles down there, and they're looking, if they do go into a deal to reintroduce Holdens, they will be made in Australia.
Wow.
So actually built, produced in Australia, not just sort of imported and have a Holden badge slapped on. Well, that's a plus.
Yeah, so there is an upside to it. But
so that means that the Aussies are really going to have to work out whether they hate it or love it, because at the end of the day, it's a Chinese vehicle, but it's made in Australia. So what do you do? If
they really wanted to make money, right? No, I'm serious. If they really wanted to make money, just bring back the VY Commodore. Just retro, 2025 car with 2003 tech.
Yeah, but they'll go and put like a 1900cc hybrid engine in it with 19 Tiptronic gears.
But could you imagine though?
But
could you imagine?
As a hybrid engine, 11,000 horsepower.
Yeah, well,
because ProDrive actually did the same thing, right? They built, I can't remember what it was called, the R5 or something, right? 2023, 2024 car, but mechanically it's just a 1998 22B Impreza. It was pretty much down to the only thing was there was no Subaru badge and there was no obviously STI or any of the labeling.
It's the same as MST, who are making Ford Escort Mark 1, Mark 2 Escorts. In England.
There's a crowd. There's also a crowd in Japan or China or something doing brand new AE86 Corolla Levin bodies, which. Who cares if they're a bit cheap, because the guys just want to drift in them. So if they back them into a wall, no great loss, But it's this whole thing of basically just restarting the production of stuff that was wrapped up 30, 40 years ago. People still like that.
Yeah, or some of us still own the same car that they bought 30 or 40 years ago. It's still there. It's not running at the moment, but it's still there. Okay, so and it's because it costs a lot of money.
And it's not a Holden.
No, it's not a Holden. No. But see, what I'm seeing though, if Ford are moving into different markets around the world to reintroduce cars, and we could see the similar sort of thing that introduces the Holden badge. We could end up with the old General versus Henry.
That would be cool.
Racing again.
That would be cool.
I'll tell you what, you've got to take your head off to China. They're not stupid. And if Great Wall are going to do it, and they're going to actually say, well, people aren't going to buy Chinese cars. Hang on, let's buy the Aussie brand. Then they've got a dilemma. Then they go and assemble those Holden badged cars that people recognise, now now Chinese owned through Great Wall, licensed from Fiat and all that sort of carry on. Boy, those Aussies have got a dilemma on their hands, haven't they? I mean, do they support it? Do they not support it? If they don't support it, there's Aussie jobs making these cars. And this is the whole reason why the Ford and Australian thing went to Google. Remember, Toyota was the last cab off the rank from the Japanese manufacturing. Because Mitsubishi prior to them.
Yep.
Then it went Ford and then Holden and Ford, whichever way it went, and the last one to run. So they make, like us, they make 0 cars in Australia. And for them to actually have the opportunity of making some cars.
Proper
and I wouldn't be
Aussie.
surprised if those cars end up to New Zealand, because, I mean, logically the distance
Makes sense.
Yeah,
and guess what that also does too, as far as opening up jobs.
Yeah.
And people talk about when the Holden plant closed, so many jobs were lost, and the same with Ford and all that sort of stuff. So, not saying that obviously they'll rehire the exact same people, but how many hundreds, thousands of jobs open up because they're actually getting built in Australia, not just assembled, not just sort of rebadged.
Well, that took a turnaround. It came from Mr. Smarty Trousers over here going, oh, they're not going to do that sort of thing, to actually it might be a good idea.
I mean, politically
I'm just saying
speaking.
the Aussies are going to have a moral dilemma
Now,
on their hands.
talking about GM, right? Chevrolet have announced their entry into the Vision Gran Turismo program. Now, Vision Gran Turismo is a project that Gran Turismo, so the video game, they've been doing this for about 12 years now, and it basically invites manufacturers from around the world to build a concept car.
Yeah, but it's just digital though, isn't it?
Oh, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. It can be as ludicrous or as realistic as they want. And sometimes they do become real cars. McLaren, their Vision Gran Turismo car is now the Solus, which is a real thing. Nissan, obviously, their case study is getting put into the new GTR, which that was always going to happen, wasn't it?
You're saying new GTR. Is there going to be a new GTR?
At some point, yes, but the technology that they sort of showcased, right? With obviously the GTR itself has seen a lot of improvements, but Chevrolet have come out with these ones, and I've got a picture there. They call it the CX, and essentially it's a race car, road car. They've done two versions, a race car and a road car. The road car is fully electric, so we don't care about that. It promises a butt ton of horsepower and good for them. The race car, 2-litre V8.
A 2-litre V8?
That does 15,000 RPM.
That's more like it.
And they reckon it's 900 horsepower.
Michael, like a lot.
Which, to be fair, we've spent a fair bit of time here at Logiical, 1,000 horsepower GTRs. So 900, okay, I'll give that a bit of a tickle up, maybe later.
Yeah.
But how good does that look? And they've actually built a real one. I don't know if it's a functional one or if it's just you can sit in it. This is what it looks like to sit in.
I like it.
And it's got the canopy, and it's got all the press releases about it. They talk about, it's a concept, it's not for sale, you can't buy one, we don't care how many millions you have.
Yep.
But
around 60 million would do it.
But what does that look like to you?
It looks to me like a McLaren.
Right.
To me personally, I see
but it
McLaren.
looks like something that wouldn't look out of place in endurance racing.
Actually,
these
there
days.
you go.
No, true.
There you go.
Like we've talked before about endurance racing these days with Lamborghini, Alpine, Cadillac.
Yep.
And if you told me that Chevrolet were running this in 2026, I'd believe you.
I reckon that'll turn up in 2027, 2028.
Yeah.
And it'll be one of the hypercars.
It'll be exactly like what happened to the Solus, because again, the McLaren VGT, it was a little different from what we've got in the Solus now, but it was 1,300 horsepower, big 3.8 V8, super duper power. And to see this one now, I've seen a lot of criticism about the whole Vision GT program because some of the cars are ludicrous, like you will never see them. Chaparral made a laser-powered car where you drive it lying down. SRT, so Dodge, made the Tomahawk, which is supposed to be 2,500 horsepower and it'll do 400 miles an hour. That sort of stuff's a
in
bit
a video
far-fetched.
game, yeah.
That sort of stuff's a bit far-fetched. But then you've got brands like Chevrolet and even Toyota. Toyota's VGT became the Supra.
Yep.
Mitsubishi's VGT sort of drew from all their rally experience. It was almost a rallycross Pikes Peak type vehicle. These are cars that actually, you laugh now, but then, a few years down the line, you're like, actually, that became that.
Yeah. So. Actually, I could see that on the road. And you mentioned about it being McLaren-like. The colour is orange. It's got those McLaren sort of shape to their lights. But I like it. I could see that happening. And I like the 2-litre V8.
I want to hear 15,000 RPM.
okay, it sounds like a motorbike, but a lot more revvy.
I will complain a little bit, and there's a reason for it. I complain that it doesn't have Corvette look anymore. Corvette's gone well away from the... But I mean, even at the rear end...
If you put the picture up, there's that little thing on the thing, that's the Corvette badge.
Yeah, but there's...
that's it, Corvette badge.
But it doesn't have the 4-round tail lights. I mean, that used to be iconic for a Corvette from the 50s right through to, you know, well into the 90s and beyond.
Until they became square.
Well, it hasn't even got that.
Yeah.
So there's no, you know, and
awesome.
it's the same thing. I used to be able to look at some of these cars and go, oh, that's a Ferrari, that's a Lambo. And then it got more and more, they become less and less obvious what it is. You need to actually look at the badge to work out what some of, and that's the only complaint I've got.
The thing about that,
I'd love to drive something like that, yes.
I reckon, because, you know, like you say, 90s, 80s, you know, touring cars, they were identical, like they were identifiable instantly. Yeah. You look at it, that's a 190E, you know, that's an R32, that's a VX Commodore, you know, not... But these days, I mean, aerodynamics is aerodynamics, right? So as we get advances in sort of streamlining all that tech, you get more and more of these guys, not necessarily copying each other's homework, but they all want to cut through the air and they all want to minimise resistance. Right?
And that's it. And if you look at, even if you look at supercars, you look at the Chevs and the Mustangs. The Mustang has developed over the years to become much flatter. You look at the TA2 cars, which are much like NASCARs, which are the same shell with different stickers on it and a different engine under the bonnet. That's technically what it is, because that, I guess what that does is that levels the playing field in terms of an aerodynamic advantage. If we've all got the same wedge, you know, the driver is fantastic.
And I get that from a racing point of view, I do.
Yep.
I'm just saying from a manufacturer point of view, where we're looking at different, like I'm a Ferrari fan, I'm a Porsche fan, whatever the case may be. And that's what I'm saying. I can't, I don't want to be a Ferrari fan. I'm mistaking McLaren for a Ferrari or something like that. So that's the only thing I've got. But hey, look, it's a nice enough car. Would I like to drive 900 horsepower?
Yes.
Does a bear poo in the woods? Absolutely, I'd love to drive one. So I mean, it's a 2-litre V8. I mean, and we were talking before about the old days of Formula One. You know, back in the 60s, 70s, you know, they were like 1500 cc,
and they'd have like
V8.
Yeah, it was an.
But they exploded.
Oh, they did.
You know, if this thing's built to do, let's say Daytona, right, for example. I don't know if you're going to be doing 15,000 RPM for 24 hours, maybe, and. Yeah, anyway, so there's probably more to come about this car, and it will be coming to Gran Turismo at some point, so the sim racers will be able to take them both for a shakedown. I mean, we don't care about the electric one, but the V8, you know, race car one, that'll be fun. Of course,
end up with the electric one lapping faster and quicker than the V8.
Well, they reckon the electric one's 2,000 horsepower, which of course it is, but guess what? It's also 2,000 kilos because you got all the batteries. So.
Yeah, but plus it needs a lot more torque, but it's the instant torque you get from an electric car, which makes people feel a lot better. No, I can't bring myself to do it either. I do love the sound of a key going in there and the engine bursting into life in front of you, even if it's only for 3 or 4 seconds because you can't afford the petrol anymore. But that's just the way it is. I'd like to, because we're here, take a little bit of your time and our time and the guy downstairs' time who lets us spend time here, Carl from Logiical Motorsport, because there's some pretty cool things that he keeps in here that you don't know about. And we may not be able to show you, but we're going to give it a crack.
When we do the Trackside Lounge, we're always out here at Logiical Performance. Now, Logiical Performance is the brainchild of this Carl Hannaford. The last time we sat upstairs on the couch, we talked about the one mistake you make with R35s, and it was wheels and tyres, right?
Yes.
So, this is not your standard R35 in the workshop. It's got non-standard wheels and tyres on it. Do you have to recalibrate the gearbox and all that sort of stuff?
No, it's just making sure the rolling diameter's all the same.
Yeah.
Because there's a small centre diff up here.
Yeah.
That's what breaks. And
and that could be...
Wears out.
Wears out. How long does it take to wear out in one of these things?
Well, if you have them incorrect,
yep,
they'll wreck it pretty much instantly.
Ooh. Okay, so you heard it here first. Get it set right. And possibly Logiical Performance is the best place to do it, because this one, how much is the horsepower on this one?
It's just got a 660 package.
Just got a 660 package. There's another one there. There's another one there that looks like it's either had an accident or it's going to have an accident. That engine down there, is that a 600?
That's capable of about 1500.
Jesus. Okay, that one there, what's that capable of?
The motor going to get for that will be, we're going to try for just under 1,000. Make it more of a street car.
So when it comes to performance, Logical Performance are the guys to go to, because these things, they sound like road monsters, but they drive just, you can go to the shops and get your shopping.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it all turns out. But so we've got 1, 2, 3 R35s in here at the moment, which I believe is the least amount of R35s you've ever had in this garage.
Oh, in the shop.
In the shop. Where are the other ones?
There's a few more hidden in the cupboard.
You'd never say that to me. You never say that. Let's go to the cupboard. We'll walk. See, 1,500 horsepower, that thing. In the cupboard, and I love the way Carl says in the cupboard. Okay. There's an R35 there, there's an R35 there, there's an R35 there, there's an R35 there. What's that?
TVR Tuscan challenge car.
Wow, and that's waiting for a motor?
Yes, we're just building the motor at the moment. So it's not just GDRs we do around here. It's everything from, race cars to...
Hang on, we got a Nissan here. That's a Ford Escort station wagon.
Yes, front wheel drive, Ford Escort Estate.
That's a pretty rare car.
In New Zealand, there was only 2 of them we know of in New Zealand.
Wow. And, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a Mark 1 Escort down there, a yellow Mark 1 Escort?
Yep.
Full rally trim?
That one's, it is rally, set up for rally. Yep, it's just got a 2-litre in that one.
And there is something that I do know is down here, and we have to go and have a look at this, because this is absolutely something special. Technically, this thing may or may not exist. It's a very, very beautifully cared-for car, and I'm only going to show you this bit. One, notice the colour, beautiful purple colour. Oh, and the other thing, it's got this thing here that's attached directly to the motor that sits under there. If you know what it is, you know what it is. I can tell you, it smells like brand new inside. It looks like brand new. Carl's looking after it, so you know it goes like it was brand new. That's a unicorn. But that's just part of what we got here, because on the way in, let's go past the R35s, the Tuscan, the Nissan. There's a couple of Nissans. There's a Holden over the back. But out here, take a look at this. Camaro, 61 belly?
Impala.
61 Impala. A Corvette that says on the rocker cover, Hurricane. What the hell is a Corvette Hurricane, Carl?
I haven't had much to do with that one, but it's an endurance car set up for endurance racing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty well-built car, very nice.
Over the back there, under the Ford Racing thing, it says Stone Brothers Racing Ford Falcon BA.
Supercar.
Is that one of
Shane's car.
Shane Van Gisbergen's
First car he drove.
Holy cow. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, it's all about rootin' tootin' horsepower down here. We got R35s, we got Camaros, we got Shane Van Gisbergen's car, we got a Corvette Hurricane, whatever that is. When it comes to making your car better, Logical Performance can do anything. Look at this. I believe that's an MR2.
MRS. Yep.
MRS.
Yep.
Is that yours?
Yes.
Okay. We're standing in a horsepower cathedral, so that's got to be non-standard, right?
It's about 360 at the wheels. Only weighs just over 900 kilos.
Wow.
Went well at their...
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the Hooncourt guys know about this one.
Yeah.
Now, while I'm here, what's that?
TA2.
It's a TA2.
Yep. So like the new Trans Am.
Yeah.
So it's everything we play with.
You cover everything. So if I brought my car in, needed a bit of a tickle up, what would it take you to say no? If I said it was a Fiat, that'd probably do it, wouldn't it?
No, I would look at everything.
Oh,
Just, you've got to be done properly.
that's what it's all about. That's why it's Logical Performance. That's why we love coming here. Carl Hannaford, mate, thanks so much for
Thank
this.
you, Nick.
We'll be back with the next Trackside Lounge. We'll be in the lounge. We may even get Carl up to tell us where we're going wrong, because honestly, if he knows the right thing to do, he knows the right thing to do.